Like the oath one being very replicatable, and at that point where sadly newer people have been calling out higher MMR people because they think they're cheating because they're dashing around so much. It's
yeah,
like,
why are you cheating though?
Yeah, why are you cheating? Dashing around.
We're like sort of similar size. I
It
think
works.
yeah, that works out.
Yeah. Alright, awesome. So the idea I had for this chat, we kind of missed last patch because stuff happened, busy. That's all fair. So I was thinking we'd like do like a shorter recap of last patch, thoughts and questions and things I got from people there, and then we also kind of go through the patch we just got. To kind of go through both of them at the same time, but hopefully not using too much time.
Perfect. Let me also make sure I'm taking notes too.
Nice. First of all, how are you guys feeling after releasing Arc 2? Nervous, good, positive, native? How is like the vibe
all
in the
of
team?
It.
All of it?
All of it. Yeah, all of it. Yeah. I mean, it was awesome to see a lot more awareness go out for Arc 2, a lot of excitement. I think there were folks not sure how it was going to work out because people haven't tried trios yet, but I've received a lot of love for that too. So that's awesome to see. I think, it's not 100%. Definitely there are people who miss squads or miss duos. So, but I have I've seen a lot of the call outs around like, hey, this is, I feel the combat clarity. I feel the sharpness of fights. I can understand what's going on a little bit better. The split ranked call outs, a lot of love for that too. And I think that's been something we've been really wanting to do for a while,
Yeah.
And like a lot of the questions around like, where are you taking Resurgence? And we had, I think Bellis even mentioned this a long time ago, or not long ago, but like in one of the threads, someone was asking like, oh, why haven't they tried different types of Resurgence rules? And it's like, in actuality, we actually tried a bunch of different ones internally. And in the end, we're like, hey, we wouldn't want to push these out because they run into different cursed problems. So we at least wanted to make sure that, hey, for the, like, I think this has always been talked about is like giving that insurance to players in normals, but being able to give ranked that like, hey, you get the combat clarity of no Resurgence, you get early fights that really matter. Let's preserve that. And you're probably also more, familiarized with the game. So like, I'm not as worried about, what's going to happen to you if you get wiped because you dropped gold,
Yeah. Do you guys like have like a funny Resurgence thing that you worked on that you kind of wanted to ship but didn't happen? Like any like close calls on different systems that are interesting?
Ooh, how much can I say? I guess
Starting early with the Safelocked.
Yeah, I'm like it would be cool to like try some of the stuff too, which is why I'm like I don't know how much I'd go into it, but yeah, I guess what I'll say is there was a question we were trying to answer, which is like there are two things, right? So one is like something that we've talked about before in the community, which is, hey, there's a lot of different res rules, and this is like adding another res rule on top of like respawn beacons, most wanted. Are there ways we could, like, if this insurance makes sense, are there ways we could bake that insurance into the existing res rule set? And I would say, like, I think there's still openness to that, even if we, like, since we're keeping Resurgence and normals, it's like having those revival rules actually just be, more of like a build out of the current ones we have would just be more natural. And so, yeah, we're still exploring that piece. There are ones that we did not want to do after trying them, but yeah, that was the space we were trying to explore. There was also a different space we were exploring, which is like, hey, this only happens. The other part of it is like, it only happens day one. And like some of that can be kind of awkward. It's like, hey, like, why is this rule turn on for day one and then turn off after day one, like, or night one? Is there a way where there's like a rule that you just like it's more intuitively like part of the base game for the entirety of the session, what would that look like? So we explored both of those spaces. I think the second one ended up being a little bit more cursed when we explored the different versions. But yeah. That's what I'll say.
Appreciate the insight at least. It's interesting to always hear like thoughts on what kind of things you're working on and what we might not be able to see but have been cooking behind the scenes. Always fun. But to bring it a little bit back then to last patch, to go through some of like the system changes and things that it was like a big patch or anything, but there were some major changes that impacted gameplay. One of the things being mana changes. Now that everybody has less mana, and after not using an ability for 4 seconds, I believe it is, then you start regaining a lot more mana. So it's like a different way. So a lot of like positive and negative feedback from that is like very mixed from the community, from what I am hearing at least. Personally, I've grown to like it more than I thought I would. And I think I found also the reason why I was so hesitant to it in the start is more because of like how personally how my brain was wired around how mana works. So when this system got implemented, it basically feels like as some mentioned, what is it called, like energy from League of Legends, like energy in that way. So like putting together like the energy system and the mana system just feels weird, and then not of course having enough time to test it in the small like 2-3 hour tests on trios makes it got like limited idea. But like after trying it personally, I've grown to like it a lot more. Having to adapt some builds, change things up, but I see the idea of it. So here's some positive, here's some negative. I'm growing on me at least, but it's on both sides.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it too around like some of the unevenness that we'll want to smooth out across some of the hunter kits too. Like I think we were talking about Kingpin, and then I think it's interesting. This is maybe even related to some of the comments here too, but you know, folks were like, "Oh, you know, Jin and Brawl, you know, like, are they returning?" And people mentioned like, oh, I could see them being stronger in trios. In actuality, I actually think the mana changes probably did them more favors, is like how we've been kind of observing the changes versus trio specifically. But yeah, I basically what we talked about is reviewing. We already have a set of changes that we're looking at for just like smoothing out mana gain across the hunters, given that this mana rule exists now, so that there aren't like, you know, we're continuing to look at the winners and losers and making sure that they're closer together.
Good to hear. Excited to see more of that at least. Maybe another interesting one is the bosses. The bosses' main changes is that they spawn later, you have an indicator, and they've spread out more. So you have the Night 1 bosses, now we have souls put in Night 2, and also the changes to where when you last hit it, you get the soul instead of picking up the orb after. I find it very fun. I really like spreading it out. I think a lot of people have talked about like, you know, the Night 1 bosses and the soul bosses being very clumped together, having to choose a lot more on how you play around that, and kind of having to just sacrifice it just because you don't have time to get to the other spot. So I think spreading it out helps a lot more. Now there is some space potentially on Night 3, because there's nothing on Night 3 currently, except like the drop. As one mini note on the bosses that people have mentioned as well, the drop that comes on Night 3, like the legendary / exotic, it just appears, and then like if you're lucky and you're there, it's kind of like gone very early. Because on the other hand, when you have, for example, the storm shift with what is it called, gift from above, then you get a timer for like 1 minute 1:30 something, and then you can plan it. But the exotic
would rather have something that's closer to that.
Yeah, because then you can kind of like set up prep for it. It's kind of luck based, that one. Like, oh, we spawn next to the drop. It's kind of easy to get it. But yeah, that's like small that. But overall, really like the changes. Some people are not happy about having to last hit the soul bosses to gain it. Some people, the main comment that I got from people is that they liked a lot where you have to play the controlled space around the orb because you need to contest and get it and pick it up. Now it's more so like you can shoot something from afar, like a nuke or a mortar, or like I had a personal experience with somebody stealing a soul with a mortar randomly, so like stuff like that, feeling like they get luck instead of skillfully trying to play for
they
the area.
aimed that mortar, Tom. They aimed
did
it,
yeah, like I didn't mind it. It was funny. I giggled, I laughed, they got it. GG. Like, so it was a funny moment. But that's the main feedback I'm getting from like the soul, that people do miss playing for the area of the control, needing to pick it up. And some people really like just like trying to drive by, kill it, get it, and get out kind of thing. So it's mixed there as well. But general, a lot of love for the boss changes in general.
Nice. Yeah, I think soaking on the stealing would be good. Maybe we can like deepen the steal rules, but yeah, I heard on the other side too of just people being like, oh my gosh, I feel the tension now of like being able to last hit it and get at that moment, and so yeah. But I think you're the boss, the night 3 drop call out makes a ton of sense. I don't think that's very debatable. That one. I wrote it down.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Cool. Then some of like probably the most positive thing that everybody from what I've heard loved is the rework, or like taking back the nerf to air dashes in general. So people feeling a lot more fluid with dashing, not feeling like they kind of get yoinked back when I do that. So feeling smooth, feeling great, and people love reverting that back to its original form. So I've only heard positive stuff about that change, at least.
Woo. Yeah. It's still working off of, yeah, I think there's what we want to do is hit the like mobility feels so cheap that you can just, be off screen like forever. But we understand that also it should feel good, like not making it feel clunky. So like hitting both is challenging, and so
the schmovement.
Yeah, trying to achieve both is important though. So yeah, it's good to hear.
We'll also, get back to the patches where we had some other movement nerfs. So
that's why the balance matters.
The balance matters.
We do have to think about it. But yeah.
Yeah, but those kind of also main things from last patch. Like it was a small patch overall, good things. Heard like mostly positive. Of course, there will always be call outs on bugs and etc. We'll have some questions on that later. But then we kind of get over to the live patch, the current April Arc 2, where everything starts getting very juicy, interesting. And the first one, Eva. She feels a little bit underwhelming. She feels very weak.
Oh, power-wise.
Yes, I love the kit. I love the design. I think she's like super cool, personally at least. But what I'm feeling, and a lot of other people are also feeling, like it is very weak Hunter. The main callouts for the weakness is her orbs being very low health, easily killed. People will she'll put them out, and she can't really drag them too far, like offensively, so it's never really an offensive tool unless you do like a creative pull them in kind of thing. But they get killed super easily. Same also with the ult.
It used to be so much healthier.
It did?
And then she was like crazy. She was so crazy.
Interesting.
So we kept nerf. We actually gave her like even more orbs back then. Like she had, I think 5 or something, and then we're like, maybe this is like a little much.
Yeah, five is a little bit too much.
yeah. And like them persisting for that long, we're like, oh no, like now everyone, no one can get anywhere. But okay, yeah, no, we're talking about Eva's power level, so understood.
But yeah, I'm hearing lots of positive about like her kit, and she looks cool. Like, love the kit, love the like style of her and everything. But yeah, she's like terribly weak. Main clunkiness feedback that I'm hearing is the work of LMB together with RMB, where it's very awkward and it feels like it's kind of pulling itself off orb sometimes when you're trying to heal a teammate and it goes to orb, and it's hard to hit the distinct targets with LMB. When stuff are close to each other. Yeah, and also RMB a lot getting stuck in stuff like trees and walls, and like hard to get them, like you just can't pull them out. So that's the main callouts for like clunkiness that I'm hearing about EVA, like around the LMB.
Okay, makes sense. So funny because I've been winning my EVA games. I'm just like nonstop slamming her, but I heard understood.
Yeah, so like again, I talk with a lot of like higher up MMR people, so like I don't have the stats or see how like newer people like mid range how it's looking, but I have a very skewed player base opinion, of course. Some average also people saying that she feels a little bit clunky with LMB. So. But yeah, that's my thing of the EVA. Good stuff. Looking forward to new hunters every month. We love that. We love having a lot of new hunters.
Yeah, I'm glad that we have finally have another healer. I think that's been having like a new support has always been on the top of our list. So I'm glad she's finally part of the roster.
It's great. Now also over to let's see, boom boom boom, trios. That is of course like the main thing overall. It'll be very mixed opinions. Some people love it, some people hate it. The usual. You can't please everybody. It's like a rough thing to balance out. I think the main call out and some of the like more frustrating parts is the one around the fill queue. There's been some tension around fill queue. One thing being that if you are if you're a solo player, if you're queuing no fill, you don't get any of the benefits of being a last player if you're a third team. So like for example, knocking people, you don't get cremation bonus or anything.
Oh, I got such split opinions on this. Where are you at? Where are the people you've talked to at? I'm curious.
What I'm hearing, I haven't tried it myself yet, so I don't know. I think it's fair that if you put yourself in a position where you're just going to be one man against the whole lobby, I think it's fair that you get the cremation part and the solo benefits for being solo. Because another problem right now is that when you queue up in a game and people see, oh, there's a solo on this team, and this solo in ranked game is worth 12 points because it's worth the same amount as a regular team. If we just drop on this guy because we know the team color and kill him, we get a lot of points, and a lot of people are doing that. So there's been a lot of like tension around people feeling hunted because you just know who it is and you get a lot of points for that. So it's a good thing where you guys like took in consideration there being less people in the lobby. But sadly, the thing we didn't think about is those people are being hunted because you know exactly where they are and who they are, and then you just get that one guy for easy points.
Yeah, I saw the team color callouts at lobby. Yeah, all that.
So I've seen some games today where I see the solo guy drop, and then suddenly 3 teams drop on top of that guy and then chase him instantly. And it kind of sucks. Yeah. And it kind of sucks. So I think personally, what I think around it is that maybe there should be like hiding colors on drop. Like this can also, help boost the feedback you've gotten from custom games where people want like the random colors and etc. But maybe hiding colors will make it easier for them to get through at least. I know this was a topic back in the day where people didn't like it when that got removed. But if you want to keep no fill, then I think it's kind of a must because people will just be hunted and it kind of feels bad.
You remember the old conversation.
I do remember the old conversation as well. But that was without the fill.
Yeah. So. Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah, because I do like seeing the colors and like planning around people, but then in ranked environments, then yeah. So kind of stuff like that.
I think at least we can take the problem and then see if there's different ways we can hide specific elements so that you can't. Yeah, I think some level of obfuscation makes sense to me. And I think there's probably a variety of ways we could go about it. We've been talking about that screen actually for a bit. Like that screen, I think, is like maybe it's like one of the oldest screens in the game, and like right. So I feel like knowing what we know now, to your point, we'd probably want to do that screen differently in a bunch of ways. Yeah. So I think well taken.
Also then put on so people can hide their names in custom games to get random colors every game. That would be great.
Just random colors and custom. I have a whole customs games list that I got from a couple of folks. Yeah, but I'm gonna aim for seeing if we can fit it in before 1.0. mostly
Love to
so
hear
that
that.
when like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
like
like
that
the
way when
major
people come
things.
in,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but I am cleaning up that list. I got a bunch in the creator cord, and then I got a couple from DM. So yeah, but that's also on there. So yeah.
I think it's very good to know. Very good to know. Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
One other feedback that I heard a lot is with the fill also like moving away from the being hunted, but lobbies feeling a lot more empty because there's a lot of lobbies where there'll be like 4 or 5 solo people, and then it doesn't feel like a full lobby, and the map becomes a lot more empty because if they die and then like the people just disappear, then it changes the dynamic of how many like teams it feels like you play against. So having too many non-field teams makes it a very like slow, like kind of dead round. It feels like from what I'm hearing, at least. Also experienced that myself.
Okay, so I was gonna ask, like, how often do you feel like you're running into that right now?
It is very back and forward. Like for yesterday, first day, we had like many lobbies where there were like 4 or 5 solos, and the lobbies feel kind of empty. In the mornings, I didn't really like today, for example, start morning. I didn't really have that issue at all. But the later it gets into the evenings, the more prime times, the more solo players appear. So it seems like it will actually be more of an issue for people that play in the prime time than for me that work usually in the prime time and play in the mornings.
Sure.
That's from what I'm seeing at least, but not the biggest sample size.
No, that's helpful. I mean, like, I think what we'll probably do is just chart it out and just see how often that's happening. Like, I think we were curious how long that would last, how much of it's going to be like people wanted to try it out, like day one, and like maybe it's going to like peter out and a little bit. Yeah, no, that's good to know. And we had talked about different types of configurations for how many solos should be in a lobby and things like that. But yeah, well, yeah, understood.
But yeah, it's as you say, like a lot of people are testing, trying out, and heard a lot of frustration about people saying like the lobbies disappear so quick.
The density.
Yeah, but that's also for a fact because in ranked game where you've removed Resurgence, thank you very much, love that by the way, people die a lot more quicker because they're not used to playing without Resurgence. So I think there's some of those stuff that probably will grow with time as people get used to it and have tried it. At some point, I'll go on the no-field journey to make a YouTube video, not to win a game.
I need to see it.
I'll do it one time. I'll have to do it. Not yet.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
But yeah, in general here, Trios balancing gold armors, like having less, I think really good. Early game circle, tiny reduction, doesn't really feel it. This is all good. Additional benefits, yeah, Qs have been feeling better. I'm really happy about ranked and unranked being split overall. So this is like very positive.
Yeah, we're seeing queue times go down quite a bit, so it's been nice to see that just be like play out on live.
Love to hear that. Custom games. Small little note here is that people are asking about being able to start custom games as 6 people. For example, then with Arena being able to play 3v3 Arena. And then questions around your guys' viewpoint of changing Arena to 3-man instead of squads, or if it's gonna stay squads in Arena.
I continue to get really split opinions on this, so I'm like spooked. I'm like spooked to go one way.
Yeah.
And this is like the ranked restrictions conversation that has continued on forever. It's like, should you be able to play in pre-made? Should you not? Yeah. This is like the same thing where it's like, should you be able to play as a 4v4 versus 3v3?
Would it be possible to add then? Yeah. You can play as 3 and 4, but do you add like the fill options? So like you can queue.
Oh, to Arena.
Yeah, add the fill. I just thought about now. Could you add the fill option to Arena?
Oh, I like that idea.
So you can choose to play 3v4 like. I don't know. I don't know if people would like that even. I just thought about it.
I don't know either.
Yeah, like that might be very annoying, like playing 3v4, but like.
Yeah, and then they'll be like.
But like, if multiple people are queuing up as 3.
A head-to-head fight.
Yeah. Could be interesting. Just thought about it now. Shooting from instantly, it is a bad
idea. All the Arena players are like, stop it. Stop.
Might be a bad idea. Might be a very bad idea. Well. But yeah, so the main callouts are like, okay, at least for costumes, being able to like make it as a 6-man, so you can play 3v3s in costume games.
yeah,
for that, that's like
let me note
the
that.
yeah
Let me note
small
that.
note there.
Game starting with 6. Okay. Understood.
Ranked, getting into interesting. So you guys changed up the system.
Yes.
Now it works so that each team is worth a set amount of points, and then it gets distributed more depending on how many people you kill and how often you kill them, and also which kill, if it's the first, second, third, etc. Changes the dynamic quite a bit. I personally like it. Heard some back and forth. So
Nice.
the main call-outs that I'm hearing on the positive side is that it feels less push that you need to chase people. Like, it's a benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you kill the last guy, it's bonus points, and it's still good to kill the last guy. But it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm fucked now, because if that team revives, then it's not worth anymore. It's more like, okay, I have to outlast the team. So there's a lot of positive notes where it feels like you get the deserved amount of points because you will have to gain points by outlasting them. And if you don't outlast them, then, okay, did you deserve the points on the kills on the team? So that is a very positive thing.
And that was like a frequent community call out too. So
so that's been really good.
Mm-hmm.
So the second thing is like kind of ties back into the thing with like people being solo and then being worth a lot of points and then kind of disappearing quickly, and then also offset then kills feeling a lot more worth, so people are running around killing each other instead of like placement not feeling valued at all. So you can kill a solo guy or maybe a team and then you have a lot of points. So a call out has been from the community at least to maybe try having slightly higher points for placement, so people feel more the BR playing for the win rather than kill chasing. Because apparently, from what I've heard from the NA community, I haven't felt this myself in EU, but people are saying there's a lot of Brawl players and Jhin players queuing solo and then running around just trying to kill people because it's the most mobile hunter, easily trying to get a kill or two and then just staying alive, trying to just perma playing for kills. Apparently that is another thing. I don't know too much about it, but as a call out I want to mention that
I haven't run into that either, but I mean, obviously anecdotal. So but yeah, I saw some of the placement call outs too. Yeah.
But overall, I think it's in the right direction with ranked at least.
Sweet. Let's go.
Also, got some questions about Glider, that it seems like some communication.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
we're gonna clarify this too.
Okay, because the question mainly was like if you get it for peak rank or if it was the rank you were ending on, and like when it's coming, because the current gliders that you're getting is from this season, right? And then the gliders you get from last season is coming later, or like it seems like there's a lot of like question marks around the gliders stuff.
Let me read the notes off of this the message we will be sending later today to clarify so that no one has any questions or doubt.
Okay.
Okay, so gliders will be rewarded for the highest rank you achieved for Arc 1, regardless of whether it was in duos or in squads. It will be done by April 9th, but we will get started today. So they will be doled out until April 9th, but that will be the case for everyone who achieves that.
That seems that will make a lot of people happy.
Yes,
I think that will clarify a lot of stuff.
Yes, yeah. So we'll post that on Discord. Probably like all of our we'll link it out to our channels. And we'll post that with the we have like a hotfix coming at 3 p.m. PST, I believe 3:30. And it contains a couple of different bug fixes that folks have called out. So thank you. And we'll drop the notes for all of that together.
Great. Love to hear that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That was a good clarification.
Yeah, I figured I saw some of those notes. I was like, oh no. And people were like, do you guys not care about the duo players? And I'm like, no. That's not...
hold on a minute.
Hold on. Yeah.
That's good. And then over to we talked about this, but splitting ranked and unranked. I've only heard positive stuff, at least so far. I guess the main things around this is, of course, the
Nice.
the everlasting frustration around the ranked restrictions.
I
Think
know.
I mean this will be like the thing that will never be completely solved. It is a problem because of like amount of people, like playing with friends, the everlasting debate there. I'm personally a little bit sad having to only be like solo in GM Plus. I can understand why you guys do it. I think it's really fun to at least have one duo partner to play with. But I do see that you guys added also now to Master Plus, because previously there was only GM Plus restrictions. I don't know if you guys are seeing it overall, but I've felt and like heard and seen that people are generally gaining a little bit less points than before. So I assume it's going to be a little bit harder to get to masters, which will hopefully be a positive thing, so you don't get restricted too early. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that is a
And
positive thing at
also
least.
gets
But
you
yeah,
to the actual rank a little bit, be a little bit more honest to what you should be at. Yeah.
Also getting like I don't know how the split or like how the population of the unranked and ranked is so far, but few callouts on like unranked being a long queue time more than expected. So maybe like there's a lot of people playing ranked and maybe widening the MMR ban for people just playing for fun in the unranked. But yeah, just some callouts on that. I don't know how often that is happening at least.
It looked good yesterday. I mean, we'll take a look at it today too. We have like a real time dashboard, so we can see how the queue times on like the median ones look at different, matchmaking elos. So, but yeah, I think your call out of can normals just be wider band. I think, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, so on the topic of like the restrictions thing, how you if you guys have any plans on how do you tackle people being very frustrated about like them not wanting to play when they're master, GM, etc. for the queue restriction, and then either smurfing in ranked or then like three stacking, tryharding, and unranked, and if there is any solution to it, or like if it's kind of just like a double-edged sword where we get some positive out of it, but there will be some negatives as well.
I mean, it would be good to know where your head's at on preference there. I think again, like different people land on different sides of this argument, right? Like you've seen it all. So I'm like, for GM plus, would we, where's your head at for? Do you think it's? I think the most resonant note that I read was similar to what you had said, which is like, I would like to at least play with a friend, even if it's not like a full party at high ranks. And I guess like, is that kind of how you feel about GM Plus? Of like, I would limit it to 2, but not to 1.
That is like my personal feeling is that yes, because like it's just I haven't gotten Legend yet. It's only been 2 days, so I don't know how I'll be feeling to actually play solo. It is more aligned with other games, like with also having those kind of restrictions, but also people are calling out being able to play as pre-made lobbies in other BR games. Of course, there will always be like comparison to different games here and there. My personal opinion will always be that like I'll want to play with at least one person that I enjoy, like having somebody to back off if I, in these times where matchmaking is a little bit wider because of the amount of people playing. So having one good duo, you guys call, I don't know if it was in this post or like something else, but called out there's a risk of the solo guy being bullied by 2 people or like feeling like restricted in that area, which I can understand. Being like one, it's different being 2 pre-made in a 4-man squad than in a 3-man squad. So it is like a double-edged sword, I think, in other cases. I don't want to push my personal opinion too hard on it. I enjoy solo, but I'll play the game, I'll grind the game because I enjoy the game, and I'll do that. I would of course prefer duo.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. So I think there are probably matchmaking realities around high MMR like trios, like getting groups together. But I think at least the note still stands. So yeah, I'll probably just catch up with the team about it and see where their heads are at and how the numbers look, because it definitely depends on also just like quality of matches we're seeing on live. So it's been a day and a half. That's already infinitely more information than we had before. So it'll be good to see. Yeah.
What is interesting, a kind of new topic then, like going from this with ranked and unranked topics and queues and etc. Questions have started to arise, with the introduction, or like not introduction, but the removal basically of Resurgence in ranked. How are your guys' standpoint in experimenting more with having different rule sets for ranked and unranked? Being able to like have more of a casual vibe to maybe promote being able to have more fun in unranked, but also more competitive in ranked. For example, a shout out has been, what if you remove soulbound powers from ranked but keep it in unranked to keep more of a risk and stuff like that in? And also call out for, the player base is low, but is it possible, is the queues health enough to remove bots in ranked and keep in unranked to be able to like have more quick lobbies happen and stuff like that in general?
Yeah, for sure. For bots, that's how we're shifting it. That's actually why we also are splitting it, is to set that expectation, like you said, like that normals is going to be more of that. Here's like a more approachable way for you to be able to play, and we can't really, when it was all together, like we couldn't make changes like that. So that's going to be the case for bots. Over time, we're shifting bot ratio to be more on the normal side. And then for soulbound powers is interesting. We actually talked about a bunch of different potential ranked rule differences back in the day. We haven't talked about it recently, just because I think Revival was like the main one we wanted to get done. That's interesting. I think we'd probably want to teach that before we split those two, just because it's not really communicated too much. But yeah, I can dig it. Maybe I can dig it. Are there others that have been brought up?
Yeah, there's like one of the call outs, like other stuff like that is like resources, for example, like mixing up where powers are spawning. Like for example, there's the call out where each hour, the hourly shop rotate. How about either like removing that or having it random every game and stuff like that around it, and also mixing up powers on different biome biome mobs now, since that's come back.
What was that last note about biome?
So for example, like not having it set in each area, so like exactly where all the powers are, but like
randomizing those too.
Yeah, like more randomized, like because promoting more creativity, more like differences you need to adapt to. Like I do be in the trend of dropping Scavenger Bay every game because Soulbound and Grapple Hook, so like I have it for free every game. But like promoting more creativity and like mixing things up and stuff like that. And I'm sure there'll be more notes if I look for that. But yeah, general call out for like, experimenting with different rule sets for ranked and unranked.
Right. I think there's been a split opinion around, should it be more randomized versus should it be more set in ranked, when I read a lot of player comments. Because on one hand, you'll be able to plan and get reps on that plan across multiple sessions, versus if it's randomized, to your point, you're getting better at adapting. You're forced to kind of make do with what you get over the course of the game. So that's like a different type of skill. And I think depending on what kind of player you are, you have preference for one or the other more in this game. And so that one actually has been really split on what people's preferences for what ranked should be are, which is interesting. Yeah.
More mini tests like that.
Yeah. Like we could test and then see. Like I think it's been kind of interesting to hear some of the tournament tests too, for that reason, of like trying different rules for that reason, just seeing what people's thoughts post that the tournament tests have been. I'd be curious, but yeah, we can also try it in game too.
All right, awesome, appreciate it. Let's see, this is more on the ranked system. Game structure, knock experience on reduction. So you're getting less XP for knocks in general. I would only positive from this, like a little bit less snowballing, but also a little bit less power on killing people that are lower level than you. So I've only heard positive stuff about this.
Both you and Synoid, called this out. This is going all the way back to that. Yeah.
This is a good thing. There was a game where I was like 5 levels higher than some people, and then got 80% of the XP bar on the kill. So it's a good nerf. Good nerf.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a biome Y boss reward. Yeah, this is like the having biome powers back on biome bosses. Love it. I heard lots of positive about that. So people really like that in general. Then we get on to the hot topic of the patch. Wind rings.
Yeah.
This is where I got a lot of questions that wanted to be answered, basically. So I guess first I could probably give you the opportunity to give more context. People feel like they didn't like get a proper explanation, like why you guys felt like this was necessary. Been a lot of like tension, like feeling more clunky needed, where one of the main callouts being it is like a skillful thing to be able to do, like for example like the tech of dropping and going through, because you get so much momentum that it's easy to miss stuff later on, and more combat being done in rings because of trying to chase people and etc. But yeah, I want to hear from you guys, like more like, you know, as you said, balancing out, buffing some stuff, nerfing other stuff, and the movement love in general.
Yeah, I mean, movement love. There's a lot of movement lovers on the team too. I think the note of like, hey, this is like a thing that felt skillful makes sense. I think that's valid. I think it's like in doing that, in doing the skillful thing, though, do I bypass a lot of the price that I would pay when it comes to movement being a risk at all, or being able to get from one place to another being trivialized? And so I think when we're talking about the map, and the map is like given the ability to move pretty much anywhere, anytime. I think the question has always been like, hey, like, are we over trivializing the map this way? And does that mean you really don't take costs for movement? And does that mean that then map positioning doesn't matter in ways that people would expect and want to play around? Is that a loss in depth that we incur because you can kind of get to anywhere whenever you want to? Does that mean objective positions are cheapened, and so on and so forth? So I think when we're looking at the different mobility changes that we've tried, it's like being able to try that is probably worthwhile when we look at it that way. I think this is a space where it can simultaneously feel bad because we have juiced, movement over time quite a lot. And so I think most responses understandably is like, hey, you nerfed this thing. It felt good. It is a thing that I enjoyed doing. We're anticipating that, basically, is like, hey, but we understanding that this is the bigger problem we're trying to solve. Understanding the whole kind of like, this is how people are kind of getting around a lot of the costs in the game today. So yeah, I mean, that's why this context is what it is in the Wind Ring part. I anticipate that we're exploring a budget stuff in addition. That's not just like looking at movement, but because I think if we just look at movement, then I think people continue to feel like, oh, like I don't want the skills that I developed to also be cheapened or taken away from me. But yeah, I do think out of all of the things that we've tried, this is one of those things that we wanted to at least call out.
Yeah, because I think a very fair call out. I think one of the main things that comes across with that is that, for example, as you say, one of the things like, is it too easy to get to places, like being able to just go too far? I think one of the most call-outs that have been coming with the Wind Ring thing is more so with people not feeling like you get access to areas for free, but rather what you can do for free with areas. So for example, the call-outs, like back to other patches that happens is, what about Bishop Hover Wings, where you can hold a space for free in the air without any repercussions, where you're just holding air. But if through Wind Rings, you need to actually sacrifice mobility and putting glider out, of course, and people can be holding rings. So there's still a lot of risk to there. But then other things, being able and then being held back by, yeah, but this is like, people enjoy it, it's fun, which is totally fair, because some people really enjoy those combos, like the Horrorwing Bishops and the Blink Bibos. But the problem is like the risk versus rewards versus a lot of other people that have to play against it. So I haven't heard any call about people feeling like, oh, it's a lot better to play against people that can't go fast in Wind Ring versus other tech that feels like they have no counterplay, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, no, it does make sense because we're looking at that tech.
Do you want to, how many of the techs?
we're looking at that tech, and I do think what you said of like, hey, it's hard to respond to that tech. What do I do as other players? I think that's a worthy call out. How many? We need to still make the full list, but I think, and like to what degree we address it is like still to be determined. But I do think that's like a real call out. Is like, hey, if I'm not Bishop, what do I do against Bishop Hoverwings? Is like, yeah, I think that's like a legitimate question. And you feeling like you got checkmated from that, or from Bebo Blink or from whatever, right? Like, I think that's like a note that's well taken. I've shown a couple of the different types of tech to the design crew too, like because we get a bunch of footage from like from, sometimes it's tech that they've already known about for a long time, sometimes it's tech that like, because there's a variety. It's interesting, there's like people who are like, oh, like the team didn't know about this tech until now, and it's like, no, it's not that. It's that sometimes there are different game states that we are in, or like there are different versions of the hunter that they're holding in their head at any given point in time. And so whether or not that tech still exists, it's like keeping that in their mind in addition to everything else they're working on sometimes is tough. And so when they're like reminded by like, oh yeah, that's right, like this exists, okay, like and I get this tech by doing X, Y, and Z, and the other thing, okay, yeah, we need to address that or look into that. But I think the best way to do it, to that broader point, is like what we're talking about is like doing a full audit and then basically being like, hey, where do we want to take, again, like looking at movement all together as opposed to kind of just doing it in these individual slices, or at least not looking at it in individual slices, is our desire. So yeah.
It's a big call. I appreciate you guys taking the time to look at it. It's been a major talking point for a while at least. Yeah, sadly on the Wind Ring as well, I sadly haven't heard anything positive about that change.
Sure.
So
I think that's totally fair. I think that is understandable. Yeah.
So that is a call out there at least, but appreciate the insight there at least. And we get over to more the balance areas. So here you guys have talked about, of course, you need to make a lot of adjustments coming into trios, like what do these changes look like? You guys already have like a lot of backlog of ideas you want to be changing with hunters, or is it like you feel like things are fairly similar between squad balance and trio balance?
There's a lot of similarities, honestly. There was it looked shockingly similar actually. But it was just like some hunters were a little bit more exaggerated. So we did try to preemptively, but be careful about a couple hunter changes. And then we even put those into some of the second trios playtest, so like the Shiv and the Oath changes. I think there were even more shift changes after the fact, but yeah, mostly on the game feel side in a good way. But yeah, we do have a whole slew that we were talking about even before the second trios test, that we've since refined. I think we're probably we might pull some of that up into a second hotfix, just because that way people aren't needing to live with it for too long. But yeah, we probably will do a proper balance patch with more. But yeah, we might pull some of it into hotfix. We'll see.
Yeah, because question that has arisen then in the context of hunters, for example, also combined with Eva coming out this patch has been how you guys stand on the power levels of certain ideas of a hunter. So, for example, Eva being like a very, very good support, a lot of healing, not really much of a carry potential. There is like, she struggles a lot with that aspect. And then, for example, then the Oath nerf coming here where you kind of targeting his shield, but the problem with Oath is not necessarily like just his shield or his tankiness or his damage, but rather that he has everything. So how you lean on like having certain roles, being Oath more being tank, not having too many tools, or if E will get more of the treatment of getting more carry potential and how that balances out.
Yeah, I don't anticipate Eve like pushing Eve into such a carry that like you would take her over a different carry. We are gonna look into her power levels, so we'll see how it turns out. Like sometimes like we give a small tool and then it becomes a big tool in the hands of the high MR players. So maybe I'll eat my words in like 2 weeks, but I Oath is like, man, I I'm always like I read so many different Oath takes that it's kind of funny to me at this point. But all that to say, I'm like the we wanted to shift Oath actually a little bit to have like a sharper identity. Um and not be like a total jack of all trades. I know there are people who also like Oath being a jack of all trades, so that's why I'm like, I want to be careful about that because I think all hunters, at least on Supervive, have more flexibility than most. Like MOBAs have such a sharp like, hey, maybe you can't do what you want to do and carried on this character. But there's more flexibility in Supervive, and we like that about it because like at the end of the day, like if you're having to play against like multiple other teams and that you have the potential for 3P, like having a little bit more agency is helpful. And that's why we don't go super sharp into classes. Now, obviously, it's like there are team elements in the game. It is a team game. And so like being able to play again like around your teammates, be able to combo, being able to also have like characters that you feel like you can have a conversational combat with instead of feeling like, oh, I can't do anything against this hunter because they can do everything, is like that's like there's like a fine balance there to strike. Obviously we don't always get it right, but like yeah, that I don't think we're allergic to having a little bit like sharper class identity. We just want to be careful that like you're not feeling like, hey, I get 3P'd, okay, I can't do anything.
Yeah, that's like, have you guys gotten call out, for example, then with Eve, that it's hard to be in those situations because the tools are more lacking compared to others, or more so in the same sense of like, no, it's very fun to be very like healer support oriented because it's a very like big shift between certain hunters on how many tools you have available and where you can feel kind of locked out, where you kind of feel helpless, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Sorry, was that a question or wait?
Like what you guys are seeing, like for example, like if as you say, like some people really like Oath being a jack of all trades, like having all those aspects, and then on the opposite side, if people are really enjoying Eve for being more centered around one area, so like how you balance those vicious,
how do we
yeah.
I mean the player base contains multitudes. I think that's the reality
Yeah,
of it. Is
for
like,
sure.
like there's different perspectives on it, and I think what we'd like to do is again, I don't think Eva should be so helpless, which is why we're gonna look into buffs for her. But I think the nature of those buffs should not take away from her identity. Like I think we want to make sure that she retains her identity. Again, we'll see. Maybe I'll eat my words and then you find a way to damage, make her like a damage carry, But like I like that is the goal. And I think with Oath, it's like, hey, like we've tried shift like changes where it's like shifting more into to a tank identity, sometimes that's been met with a lot of like skepticism because it's just like, okay, now he's just saying no to me more, you know. And I'm like, okay, yes, that, I mean, also true. So yeah, I think Oath is slightly trickier than Eva in that way, but that's also probably, I mean, not probably, it's definitely because we've learned a lot making hunters in Supervive. Like I think Oath is still one of the earlier characters that we've made. Since then, we've learned a lot about what we like and don't like about, you know, definitely don't say tank, you know, learnings about like what we would want in a definitely not a tank character on Supervive. And some of it is like, yeah, like how much can I say no, you know, like there's a lot of that conversation. But other folks have mentioned, hey, I really like the front to back, you know, combat that Oath provides because of his identity. And so, you know, I think because of that, we've talked a lot about like how, like everything about like how should shields work in Supervive? How like should you be able to have that much availability of a shield? Should you always have the optionality to pull one out? Should it always, you know, should it always have like directionality so you're not it's not like a 360 thing? There was like an old, I don't know if you remember this, like Ghost had like, I don't even think this was like that problematic in the grand scheme of things, but he had like a bubble shield that was like a 360 bubble shield.
I don't remember that now.
As one of his abilities. Oh, okay, yeah, he used to have that a long time ago. But yeah, we had talked about a lot of different types of shapes of shields and how that can feel like, yeah, am I just saying no to a player, or does this feel like can I make this feel like a real skill check that feels earned? And so, you know, it's funny, even like that's been like a long-standing conversation even on League too, of like, hey, like, you know, Janet puts a shield on you, no, you know, like and so like I think there's a lot of character-based games that run into this challenge, and it's yeah. So, but that all to say, I think Eva is born out of us learning a lot about what we want from supports, and I think even the next, definitely not a tank character in this game will benefit from a lot of the Oath learnings. But that all to say, I think I might even say that character might help us understand what we might want to update with Oath over time.
Okay.
To make him like tanky, still like retain his tank identity, but also be able to like hold his own without being super oppressive. There's a fine balance, but I think we've learned a lot. Yeah.
Appreciate the insights. Helps a lot. A lot of good stuff there. We got some item changes.
Yeah.
Boots, glide boots, positive. People like glide boots. They still look like meditation boots, so people are like look a little bit weird because they like they're blue and I think about mana.
Kyle, did you hear that?
They look a little bit weird. Something about the glide boots there. Question that is arise though, like with the boots changes and etc. Like, do people actually use the chain jump boots?
They
like
do.
They do.
They do. Yeah. Okay. They're very popular.
They are. Interesting. Are they popular because they're on the first row and you auto build it when you're new to the game as well? Or
maybe. I don't know. That's a good theory. I think the high ground is like people getting high ground. Sometimes that's been called out. Actually, like weirdly, like yeah, at higher ELOs internally too. That was like one of the first things that the QA group called out. It's just like, yeah, this is super useful for that reason. I could also see the first boot being picked. Oh, there was one more call I was going to mention. Well, anyways, but yeah. Weirdly.
Yeah, those just questions around that. People like, are people actually building chain boots? I feel like people just never really see that. That's good to know. Client, good stuff. Hunter unlocking. People are really positive. Easier to hold the tokens. Very good for unlocking. A lot of frustration around like, oh, new hunter comes out, but I just finished my unlocking thing. So this is just very good, very positive. Been some callouts about like information about unlocking. For example, like the Discord event where you can get even for free, but then people use their token and they felt like they kind of wasted their token when they could have gotten it for free via the Discord thing. If they knew about it earlier, then it would have been different. So like
I
when
did see that note.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then stores gone.
I was just gonna look at that.
Or like rotating stores gone. I haven't really heard much about it. I don't know like if people are super happy or like super sad or whatever, but it happened. I don't really care too much about the story, so like it happened.
in typical top kick fashion.
Yeah.
I'm good. Yeah. When it comes to store stuff, it's been good. Like I think people were like, hey, I don't like the FOMO aspect. Like that came up early on a bunch, and you know, I'm like, hey, like that's why I talked about it in the fireside, because I was just like, well, let me just get ahead of this and talk through, you know, why we even went with it in the first place and like what we were trying to achieve. And but again, like instead of try to explain why, you know, convince you why, you know, it's good to have a rotating store, I'm like, let's focus on making good content, and that's probably the best use of time. So
yeah, and it fits directly into Battle Pass. People seem to love the Battle Pass. I love the Battle Pass. Great emotes. I like looking at the emotes in the Battle Pass, and they're like goated. I love it.
Yeah, I've gotten good feedback on the content that's been in the Battle Pass so far. It feels like it's better. So I'm like, good.
The absolute cinema emote is goated. So that's
oh, okay, good.
That is like
that one.
So my question there is like, who voiced that? I want to know.
Oh, it's one of our QA folks. They've actually make some of the most goated VO that it's like they might have like the funniest voices.
Shout out that guy, because I love that emote.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely noting that. The moment he like recorded it, we're like, we gotta clip that now. We gotta put it in the emote. We're like, we made the emote after the VO because we're just like, it's so good, we have to do this. Like, I'm pretty sure that was the order of events.
That's great. Great when the voice comes first and the art after. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of going through the main things, a lot of good stuff. Now kind of more to like the bonus section, like gotten a lot of questions that doesn't really tie directly into the patch notes, or like kinda, but like on the different side. So got some different stuff there. One of the like bigger things that is last thing that kind of directs into patch notes is around bugs and such. There's a million bugs. That's fair. Like there's a lot of things that needs to be fixed. But the question around it is more so, how can we as a community maybe help you guys highlight what we feel like is the biggest and more major bugs that needs to be fixed quickly? And the call out then is, of course, that will come later today, is the oath bug that glad you guys are like fixing it now, but people felt like it was a bug for too long of a time. And if there's a way the community can help you guys highlight what bugs we feel like is major stuff that needs to be fixed quicker than other bugs, for example.
Yeah, I was talking to Quiff and the others about it too. We were talking about like maybe there's a way we can just like exactly what you said, like maybe we can elevate the community suggested top bug of each hunter, you know, as an example. And like I think that would help. I don't know if there's like a preference on how we'd want to do that, but I'm open. Because I think maybe we could, yeah, I think that would make it easier for sure. Not all the bugs, I will say, are equally easy to fix. So, for example, I think folks have mentioned the Jin lockout bug. I appreciate the videos that have come in. It is still not evident even in the videos or in people's descriptions, because, and they'll say this actually too, they don't know how they're reproing it. So they'll run into the problem and then they'll be like, fix it. And I'm like, no, I understand. What actually causes it? And it's like, it is not clear. The closest we've gotten has been like, it might be ping related, which is then trickier because then it's a networking related issue, but it does mean that it gets us closer to potentially solving that problem. But yeah, that all to say, like, having the top bug for each hunter would be awesome. Maybe we can do it in the we can pin it to like the hunter boards, maybe we can do something like that.
I think that would be because
But
that's
I'm
also
all
like the
for it.
people that are
Yeah.
like the most into with the hunters. So I think that's a good idea. But yeah, that's like one of the biggest, like wanting to help and get those kind of bugs out of the way as quickly as possible. If it's like major, and like the oath one
Yeah.
being very replicatable, and at that point where sadly newer people have been calling out higher MMR people because they think they're cheating because they're dashing around so much. It's
Yeah,
like,
why are you cheating though?
yeah, why are you cheating? Dashing
Why?
around. It's been interesting to follow. But yeah, I think it's great like to be able to highlight in some kind of way with that. I think that will help a lot.
Yeah, and people have been great about DMing me bugs, like the top ones, like being really yeah, just being really picky, and that's been helpful actually. So yeah, the more specific the repro, the better. And especially when there are specific repros that we've gotten, like Lemur had a great Phenom X clip where they were able to get to what the flashing, there was like a flashing bug that they kept running into.
Interesting.
And then he was like, I think this might be because of ADS actually, and he was right. And so that actually was what we needed. I've gotten a ton of clips of that bug in the past, but the fact that he was able to hone it down, I was just like, oh my, like I sent that extra context, and then our one of our engineers is like, yep, I found it. That makes sense. So yeah, all that's helpful. But yeah, if there's a top hunter bug per hunter from the community, that'd be awesome.
So people, if you have bugs, remember number 1, record it. Number 2, check if you can reproduce it. Easier for the devs to work on and help with it. I think that will help a lot. I have a lot of calls for like bugs and questions around that. I don't think it's like worth using too much time on it. I have one specific request, more so like, is this intended or not like a bug request, but like, is this supposed to be a thing or is it a bug kind of thing? Where a question that if you're really, really far down in Abyss, melee attacks can't hit people. Is that like an intended thing, like around playing with Abyss if you're super far down? Or is that like, that might be a bug, let's check that out.
Attacks can't hit you?
Melee attacks can't attack people at all if you are like at the bottom of Abyss before dying.
That I'm unsure.
Alright, reproduce it, guys. Get clips, get stuff, and send it in. We'll figure it out.
We're sharing on that one? Okay. Yeah. It's also helpful to know which hunter people are running into with that, because it could be a hunter specific thing. And so just, yeah, understanding that as well.
And then we're kind of like done with the directs. Now we're more like, I don't know if they're gonna be fun questions. I think they're fun questions, so we'll see if you think they're fun questions.
Okay.
Maybe some like safe league. One question I got. How are you guys standing on player profiles? Having player profiles in the client, being able to like check out your friends and match history, stats, and like stuff, etc. Do you guys have any plans around that, or?
We do. I don't know when that's scheduled for, because we are prioritizing a bunch of stuff before then. But yeah, we have talked about player profiles. We know, and exactly what you were talking about. It would share that information, what your rank is, what your like, anything that like achievements, like things like that, calling those out. Yeah, we have interest in it. It's not the top of the priority stack, but yeah, I love player profiles. I think
that'll be cool too.
Yeah.
Other question: game modes. There was a teaser in the roadmap for a game mode. It didn't happen. It said experimental game mode, in the first arc, but it was no experimental game mode. Will there be some experimental game mode in the near future?
We tried a few. We actually pulled up one early. If you remember the
like the
one for all.
Yeah, the one for all. Yeah.
And then the April Fool's big head mode. Like that's
not
a mode, but it was that was also changing that. So yeah, I mean, what was weird about one for all is that like there was, I mean, whatever. Like also the visibility of it wasn't very good because of the queue drop down and things like that. But Yeah, it didn't. I don't think it really hit for a lot of people.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, even if you put visibility aside, maybe there's modes that we'd want to try in the future. In addition to that, but like I'm more skeptical, especially when we
Hmm.
gave custom games to everybody. I'm like, you might you might just
Make
make a
something
better
serious. Yeah.
like better tailored thing that to what you're trying, and like in a lot of ways us giving custom games access to everyone was for that reason. It was just like,
Hmm.
hey, just like have fun, like try a bunch of stuff. So that's more of where my head's at.
Hmm.
I'm I'm down if there's like a if there was like a custom game mode like that people were playing a lot of. I mean, that was kind of where One for All came from, was like
Hmm.
the all kingpin mode that people were playing a bunch.
Yeah.
I forgot what people were calling it, but like if something like that happened again, would be down to support something potentially in the future. But I'd probably want to see like, hey, like, do you guys actually like this? Do you want this just like all the time?
Very understandable.
Yeah.
In the future, we'll see some cool stuff.
Yeah.
People like 20 with 20, bring back 20 with 20? Question mark.
Ah, maybe.
Niche call outs.
Maybe. Yeah.
But
Yeah, yeah.
on the topic of roadmap, like you guys have been going through a lot of changes, like different
Mhm,
approaches, and things might like differ a little bit from the roadmap that we saw earlier. So questions
mhm.
around like, are you guys planning on updating the roadmap? Is it like still very similar, or for example, will it move more into like the fireside chats? Will we see more fireside chats regularly, or how much we can like expect updates like that?
We are planning another. I don't know if it'll be like. I don't know if we'll call it a fireside chat, but yeah. I think we're gonna do another. Yeah, I think we'll do another fireside. We're talking about what we want to cover in there. I think we'll probably. I need to be honest, I need to read the script. Because I have all the outlined notes of what we want to cover, but I don't know what we ended up covering in the actual script. So I need to read that today. But
How do we read it right
we
now? Like a little
will
bit of read out loud for the class?
us do, yeah. We'll do popcorn reading.
Yeah.
You can say some of it too. Um, but yeah, I will do that. I'm deciding how much we want to share about roadmap leading up to 1.0, and how much of 1.0 we'll talk about, but
Hmm.
we'll cover some of it. We'll cover some of it. And I think we'll just do that in the fireside so that people just it's that's like the broadest way we communicate outside of like the channels, and then we'll bump it to the channels too. But yeah,
Hmm.
we'll cover more details there.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. We've gotten
Mhm.
over all of the main things. Is we're taking up some time. We're hitting well over an hour. So I'm going over to the bonus section, or I'll start with some like more random, smaller questions, but also opening up the floor for the chat if they had like any fun questions they wanna add at the end. Where Safely can choose whatever you like that looks like funny, interesting questions. But I'll start off with like a small one note that I also have from the side here with more rebind options, with people saying
Mm.
specifically if they request in gold, some people don't have the scroll wheel on their mouse. Can they rebind so they can actually request money in a different way?
Oh, more rebind options for requesting money if you don't have a scroll button. Understood.
Yeah, very niche, very specific.
Yeah. Rebind option. Don't have a scroll wheel. Want to request money. Noted. Noted.
I think first of all, what does the S in Theorycraft games stand for?
What are we gonna call a game company by a singular thing? That sounds so weird. What are you talking about? I know what you're memeing, but I'm like, who's calling a games company a singular? What is it? What is it? No, dog. Get out of here.
Oh yeah, actually, I've seen it a couple times in chat. There, the people that called out the Korean emotes and banners. What are we
Oh, like
getting
the
those?
Bebo ones.
They have so cute and cool
They
like
are
banners.
cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When are we
We
getting
were able to get
them?
some.
Wah.
We were able to get some, but yeah, I need to. We have like a whole. Let me note it. Let me note it. I won't go into how we want to distribute because I don't want to mess it up. So let me let me note it, and then we'll communicate it broadly so that folks know about the Korean emotes. I love them too. I love them too.
I think they look
We use
really
them all
awesome,
the
yeah.
time. Yeah.
It's kind of quiet for now. Anything you want to add? Anything you want to tell the people? What are you working on? Any safe leaks at the end? Any safe leaks?
We already safe leaked things. Get out of here.
More like we're hungry
more.
here. We're hungry.
Oh jeez. Oh jeez. No, I don't think so. I will say, to your point, we have another fireside that is coming. We are planning that, so I would say, look forward to that one, and then, yeah, I mean, we're heads down on a lot of 1.0 stuff. So I think that's the thing. Have fun. Have fun in your trios games. Have fun in your arena games, and just enjoy. I'm glad folks are playing Eva. Play more Eva. Enjoy. We will buffer.
Good luck.
And so yeah. No worries, Eva fam. We got you.